Hey, ladies, I'm excited to dive into our second week of Ruth and kind of talk about what you're going to read this week as you go through the daily readings. So, as we see, Naomi and Ruth are heading back to Bethlehem. Naomi has kind of relented in Ruth's request to come with her after she's basically made like a conversion to Naomi's faith, and Naomi has relented and let her come with her. So they're going to be entering Bethlehem during the harvest season, which is interesting because they fled during the famine, but they're coming back during the harvest season, which means a couple of things. One, that they're no longer in a famine, which is great. But two, it also means that there's no time for Naomi and Ruth to plant anything and get anything for themselves ready, which means that they're going to be kind of at the mercy of the people that already are harvesting. So as they enter Bethlehem, we can kind of see Naomi's state of mind and how she is really feeling distraught and honestly, probably kind of bitter about her situation. She may have lost sight completely of the fact that when she fled Bethlehem, it was because of a famine. And now she feels like she went away full and she came back empty handed. I think many of us can understand like going through seasons of our lives where we feel like we're kind of on top of the world, we're totally blessed, life is going good, and then we hit a season of life that is either really difficult or we've experienced some kind of loss, and we feel like we are just empty handed. Naomi says to call her Mara instead of Naomi, which means pleasant, and to call her Mara because she's so bitter and she's without. So, anyway, we see kind of her state of mind, and yet they're coming into Bethlehem during a time which is really like an exciting time for the harvesters and the people because all of their hard work is being paid off. So Naomi tells Ruth that she needs to go and glean. So, Mosaic law, the way Moses set it up when he set up the laws for the Israel people, was that any of the landowners who were harvesting grain or whatever it was that they planted, that they weren't allowed to harvest all of it. So they either had to leave a section of their field untouched, or they weren't supposed to go back through like a second time and pick up anything that they had maybe dropped or missed. And this was purposeful to help with the poor, the needy, the foreigners, and the aliens living within the land. And Ruth falls under the category of both of these because she has no biological family there, and she's from a different land. So, anyway, Ruth is gleaning from these fields, and she just so happens, as God would have it, to be gleaning from the field of Boaz. Boaz is from Elimelech's clan, which is Naomi's deceased husband. So, we know that God is working behind the scenes because it's not by chance or luck that Ruth ended up in Boaz's field. And then we really get a glimpse of Boaz's character in how he treats Ruth when he sees her. And it's just kind of a beautiful reflection of how Jesus is with us. Boaz made sure that Ruth was not to be touched by any of the men. So he offered protection. He didn't call her names. He didn't refer to her past. He called her daughter, actually. And the interesting thing about all of this is that it points to Christ because he does the same thing to us. We come in to our relationship or to knowing God into this world as foreigners, as aliens, as people that are born sinners. We're not a part of the clan of God until we make that decision to follow him and be a part of him, his family. And when we do, even before that, we can see God's hand working in his favor in our lives if we're looking for it. And so just like Boaz looked out for Ruth and offered his protection and his care, we see Jesus in that, because he does the same and extends the same for us. So Ruth is not only treated kindly by Boaz, but even favorably, because Boaz tells his people to go and, drop some whole strains of grain for Ruth. And then he's fed her. She doesn't get home until late. And when she does get home, Naomi, of course, is just like, what is going on? Ruth is packed to the nines with grain and food for them. And she's home later and she's probably looking well because she's eaten well. And Naomi just bombards her with questions and realizes that the field that she's been working in belongs to Boaz, who is a family member. And so I think we see Naomi here kind of soften her heart towards God, and knowing that, because with her upbringing and her past, she would know that it wasn't by chance that Ruth ended up in this field. And so we see where we're probably seeing a shift in Naomi's heart towards God, where she's maybe feeling a little less bitter and realizing that even though her circumstances are not ideal, that they are definitely improving, and maybe, just maybe, God has been behind the scenes working on her behalf the whole time. So it's a great part of the story where we really start to see how God is working behind the scenes, which we know, but also to see Naomi go from kind of having this bitter heart to seeing the goodness of God in the fact that her daughter-in-law ended up in Boaz's field. And then we also see Christ mirrored in Boaz, in the way Boaz treats Ruth. So I hope you enjoy your readings this week, and I'm looking forward to talking all about it on Thursday night. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.